Six Flags Over Texas is one of the most important parks for the amusement industry. Not only was it the first park in the Six Flags chain, but it also was the testing ground for several prototype rides that would be added to parks across the globe. This park's significance cannot be overstated, but it also happens to be a strong theme park on its own. Find out why in this review. Wealthy real estate developer Angus G. Wynn Jr. visited Disneyland and wanted a theme park like that back in his home state of Texas. So he purchased over 200 acres of land in Arlington and opened Six Flags Over Texas back in 1961. The name refers to the flags of the 6 different nations that have governed Texas. The park originally opened with 6 themed areas, each to a different country who once had their flag in the state. Now let's run through all the firsts that Six Flags Over Texas brought to the amusement industry. The park was the first to offer a pay-one-price admission structure that has become pretty standard at parks across the globe. The park was also the first to feature Broadway-style shows, which are a staple at parks, particularly on busy days with less than ideal weather. El Aserradero was the world's first log flume in 1963, and that model went on to become arguably the most popular water ride of all time. Runaway Mine Train was the first mine train roller coaster in 1966. This would be one of the best family coaster models, relying on setting and theming to provide an engaging experience. Wildcatter was the world's first freefall ride in 1982. While there aren't many of these first-generation intimate drop towers still remaining, they paved the way for the larger, more innovative drop towers that thrill guests today. Multiple manufacturers also got their start at Six Flags Over Texas. The Jet Set was the first ride ever built by Intamin. Runaway Mountain was the first attraction ever built by Premier Rides, and last but not least, Rocky Mountain Construction proved their innovative iBox track when they converted the old Texas Giant wood coaster into New Texas Giant. Today, RMC hybrids are some of the most popular attractions at any theme park because of the smoothness and abundance of airtime. Imagine a world where you always had to pay per ride and didn't have all these popular attractions. It very well could have happened without Six Flags Over Texas. We also may not have had any of the other 15 Six Flags parks out there. Six Flags was one of the first theme park chains, and they're still one of the most prominent. And that all goes back to the success of their original park. Now let's talk about what you can expect if you visit the park today. Six Flags Over Texas is in a brilliant location. It's roughly 15 miles from both Dallas and Fort Worth, 2 of the largest cities in Texas. This makes the park very easy to access. And the park also has a huge population base to draw on, especially because the climate allows for year-round operations. As you approach the park, it is impossible to miss this park's skyline. The park's large tower rides and the Titan roller coaster can be seen from miles away. Then the side roads near the park run right next to several attractions, most notably Shockwave and Judge Roy's Scream. Getting this close to some of the park's roller coasters really builds anticipation for your day. If you don't have a season pass, be prepared to pay $35 to park on top of the daily admission tickets. Whatever you do, do not buy admission at the gate. You can get steep discounts online with tickets as low as $35 on the official website. Prices increase on weekends. But my recommendation is to invest in a season pass, so you can visit this park and possibly other Six Flags parks as many times as you like in a season, while also having parking covered. And this parking lot is relatively close to the main entrance, especially compared to other Six Flags parks. Once inside the park, it's hard not to notice a higher degree of theming than most other Six Flags parks. While you have the obligatory Looney Tunes and DC sections, each area seems to look fresher and have a better sense of immersion. The park's original areas have a quaint charm to them you don't usually get at a chain park like this. One thing I do not like about this park though is the layout. It is extremely confusing. Several rides are accessible by single, often poorly marked pathways. For example, the only way to reach Titan is to head down this unassuming archway past the picnic grounds. To ride Judge Roy's Scream, you have to pass under the roadway because this coaster travels along the water and street, neither of which can be seen from in the park. Then the path to Shockwave is in the very back of the park, behind both the oil derrick observation tower and a lot of trees. But the confusion does not stop there. There are some windy pathways in the center of the park near Runaway Mountain. The midway even cuts through a restaurant at one point. Then if you choose to purchase a Flash Pass Skip the Line system, you have to go on a scavenger hunt. Many of the Flash Pass entrances are nowhere near the main entrances. For example, remember that random pathway to Titan? Well, you need to head down that pathway to get to New Texas Giant's Flash Pass entrance. And this isn't the only ride where you're going to run into this problem. Depending when you visit, you may want to purchase that Flash Pass. This can cost an extra $50 to $200 depending which tier you select and day you visit. Typically, I go for Gold if I need it. This park can get busy during spring break, Frightfest, and Saturdays. You can do most major rides on most days if you have a full day, but it can be tricky to do everything sometimes, especially because this park has recently shortened its hours from past seasons. Operations at this park have been pretty good in my visits, especially for a Six Flags park. Most coasters regularly run multiple trains, and dispatches come at a steady rate. This park also offered convenient single rider lines in the past, but I've heard they were recently removed. There are 3 other downsides with the operations. 1. Year-round operations mean rides will close for maintenance at points. However, Six Flags does not post their maintenance schedule in advance, so it's luck of the draw which ride may be closed. 2. One of their premier coasters in Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast is notoriously unreliable. I've never had it closed for an entire day, but it always breaks down for me. I know others who weren't so lucky and had it closed for the entire day. 3. This park has had a weird policy in the past where single riders cannot ride alone in the back of a car. This was relaxed after COVID. If you arrive at opening, I recommend starting with Lovey Bora. This bobsled routinely has the longest line in the park due to its limited capacity. Even on a quiet day, this attraction will get a sizable line. I would then ride New Texas Giant. It is the park's best ride and also tends to have a lengthy line. You should be able to get a few rides before crowds arrive if you so choose. It's also smart to hit the Pirates of Spelunker Cave early in the day, given its capacity and newness. The other rides that tend to get long lines are on the opposite side of the park, but they are towards the back, so if you head over there within the first hour or two, you should still find manageable to minimal waits for the Riddler Revenge Giant Frisbee, the Justice League Dark Ride, and the Pandemonium Spinning Coaster. Mr. Freeze is another smart one hit early between its popularity and propensity to breaking down. Another one that'll likely garner long waits and hot days is Aquaman Power Wave. This mock power splash has been delayed 2 years, but it's finally set to open in 2022. While I haven't ridden one of these power splashes, they look like cool rides between the launches and weightlessness on the spikes. Moving on to the operational rides, Six Flags Over Texas has a strong ride lineup. It starts with their coasters. They currently have 13, and they're well-rounded, covering most major genres. One of the things that stands out most to me is how intense many of the park's coasters are. 4 in particular pile on the positive G's, which hit even harder in the Texas heat. First is Titan, which is the tallest, fastest, and longest coaster in the Longhorn State. While this Giovanola hypercoaster doesn't offer the airtime you'd expect from a coaster of this size, it does offer 2 powerful helixes that often causes riders to gray out. While it's not one of my favorite hypers, as I mentioned in a review, I cannot deny this ride's intensity. Second is Shockwave, which is a Schwarzkopf that offers airtime and the most intense moment in the park. Those back-to-back vertical loops reportedly pull nearly 6 Gs, and they'll make most riders dizzy. Then the ride's drops offer some scary pops of ejector airtime, particularly the 2 turnarounds in the middle of the layout. This may be one of the park's oldest coasters, but it's a deceptively intense ride, especially since it carries a surprisingly low 42-inch height requirement. Third is Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast, which is a Premier Rides launch shuttle coaster. The ride is short but powerful. The inverted top has one of the craziest elements in the world between the positive G's, laterals, and negative G's. It's a cornucopia of forces. Then you have another forceful overbank and a vertical spike with some glorious weightlessness. I have a review on this one as well, but you do not want to miss this ride if you love thrill rides. Fourth is Batman the Ride. This familiar Balger and Maillard invert may be a clone, but it's a good layout. This one has the usual whippet intensity, but this one does tend a little rougher than the others. Joker is another clone that I genuinely enjoy. This S&S Freespin does admittedly feel more like a flat ride than a traditional coaster, but I just love the mayhem of the flipping. The park's airtime quota is filled by New Texas Giant, which also happens to be the park's best coaster. This RMC creation is 4,200 feet or 1,300 meters of airtime hills. The negative Gs aren't as intense as the newer RMCs, particularly in the second half, but the ride compensates with quantity. I also have a review on this attraction, and while it is one of the weaker RMCs, I cannot deny how important this ride was for the industry. Runaway Mountain is an indoor coaster that's a great option during storms. This is Premier's take on the common windstorm model, but it runs smoothly and the elements are accentuated by the darkness, particularly that super steep and devilishly twisted drop midway through the ride. The remaining 6 coasters are awesome for families as they all carry 36 to 42 inch height requirements. I love how many coasters this park has available for budding thrill seekers. Judge Roy's Scream is the park's lone remaining wood coaster. This ride features a basic out and back layout. Most of the ride isn't too noteworthy, but the first Camelback and Little Speed Hill towards the end of the ride deliver nice ejector airtime, which I mentioned in a review. Lovey Bora is one of the few remaining Intamin bobsleds. The inline seating and entries into the brake run can cause some leg banging, but I do like the visual riding in such an oversized trough. Pandemonium is a Gerstlauer spinning coaster. It was recently repainted purple, but it offers a satisfying layout with some solid helixes and a fun finale with a nice drop in Bunny Hill. Runaway Mine Train is a mostly scenic mine train. The first 2/3 aren't too eventful, which isn't understandable for a prototype, but Arrow made one heck of a finale. After passing through this well-themed saloon, you get a surprise pop of ejector airtime on the ride's largest drop if you're in the back car. Mini Mine Train is infamous for being the Mr. Beast coaster, but this Arrow is a fun junior coaster as it smoothly winds beneath Mr. Freeze. The other junior coaster is Wile E. Coyote's Grand Canyon Blaster, a Chance Big Dipper. It is a little larger than the usual kiddie coaster, which makes it more accessible for adults to ride with their kids. And before you ask, yes, coaster enthusiasts can get the credit without a child. This ride is part of the Bugs Bunny Boomtown, a sizable and colorful kiddie area themed to the Looney Tunes characters. This is easily the best spot in the park for kids. There are a few other kiddie rides scattered about the park, but no other dedicated areas. For adult flats, you have some great options. The park has some fun themed spinning rides, such as a swing ride themed to guns, a Chance Trabant themed to a sombrero, and a breakdance themed to a corral of cows. But you also have a trio of tower rides. Texas Skyscreamer stands 40 stories tall. This Funtime Starflyer offers incredible views of the park, surrounding area, and downtown Dallas while spinning at a solid clip. Superman Tower of Power is a 325-foot or 99-meter tall S&S combo tower. I think this drop tower is weak in terms of airtime and power, but the views are incredible. Alternatively, you can take those views and atop the Oil Derrick Observation Tower, which is equally as tall. You can stay up there as long as you like, snapping photos and videos. 2 other notable flats are located in the Gotham City section. Riddler Revenge is a Zamperla Giant Discovery. This frisbee runs a long cycle loaded with floater airtime. If you've never tried one of these, definitely give it a spin. The final one is Harley Quinn Spin Sanity. This ABC tourbillon is a visually stunning gyroscope. The rotating rings are mesmerizing, and the flips have some fun hang time. For dark rides, you also have a few options. Justice League Battle for Metropolis is a 3D shooting dark ride from Sally. It uses the DC Comics IP perfectly as you take aim at familiar villains, and along with the screens, you have some nice physical sets mixed in to break up the action. Then for 2022, the park opened Pirates of Spelunker Cave. This replaced the former Yosemite Sam Gold River Adventure, a ride that flooded in 2018. I've yet to experience this attraction and don't want to spoil it for myself by watching the POV, but the way the park paid homage to their former attraction seems to be a positive sign to me. For water rides, you have 2 options inside the park. El Aserradero is the original log flume. The layout and drops aren't as impressive as newer ones, but it's a must for log flume fans because of its significance. Then you have the Roaring Rapids River Rapids ride, if you want to get soaked. That ride can generate some sizable waves, which are refreshing in those hot summer months. While Six Flags Over Texas doesn't have an included water park, Hurricane Harbor Arlington is just 1 mile down the road. I haven't been there, but it looks to have a sizable collection of slides for all thrill levels. Beyond the rides, Six Flags Over Texas also has some annual events. Frightfest is the highly popular Halloween event. I typically avoid this time at the other Six Flags parks due to the increased crowds and lower quality of the haunts, but it is the best time of year to accrue night rides. I love visiting during holiday in the park though. Crowds tend to be on the lighter side than peak season, you have wonderful light displays, and most rides are operational at this park. The biggest rides that are routinely closed this time of year are the water rides and oil derrick. The latter is closed because it's cleverly transformed into a 30-story tall Christmas tree. Food options at this park seem to be pretty average for the Six Flags chain. It's pricey without a meal plan, and nothing has really stood out to me. Before wrapping up this review, I want to note how much there is to do in the surrounding area. You have both the Texas Rangers and Dallas Cowboys playing nearby in their stadiums. And you have the Prairie Screamer opening in 2022 at the nearby Traders Village, which is an intense miler coaster being relocated from Scandia with some impressive airtime. So do I recommend Six Flags Over Texas? Absolutely. Between the high quality ride lineup, solid appearance, and importance to the amusement industry, this park is well worth visiting. I really like how balanced the offerings are at this park, not only from a coaster perspective, but also from a flat ride and dark ride perspective too. I think this is in the upper half of the Six Flags parks, and I don't see that changing anytime soon because of how much love and attention this park gets. So those are my thoughts on the original Six Flags park. What are your thoughts on Six Flags Over Texas? Do you like what this park offers? Let me know what you think about this place down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.